Yo, what is going on, guys? J.Yumeko here, and I am so excited to be back to Everlasting Summer. Now, it has been a little bit since I've posted an Everlasting Summer video. As most of you know, the last recording session I did for the last episode, it was the last episode. The recording software fucked it up. OBS fucked it up, so I only had the audio and none of the video is coming through. What I'm doing now is I'm going to go through each of the girls' specific route. The ending that I had last time through my original playthrough, basically I ended up leaving the camp and I ended up back in the city in my apartment. I didn't end up with anybody, and overall I basically just said, you know what? All that was basically a dream. I'm fucking crazy, right? So, as you've seen by the title of this video, today we are going through Lena's route. But yeah, we're just going to go through this. I am following a guide, by the way. Just so, you know, it's no wasted time here. Alright, so we're going to praise the book. I'm not sure if we did this last time. We probably did. A good book. Thanks. Honestly speaking, I haven't read it, but I think that such literature suits her very well. Lena didn't seem to be interested in continuing the conversation. Well, if I'm bothering you... No, she answered while still looking at the book. Can I sit beside you for a while? Why? And really, why? Maybe just because I was very tired and having company's better than being alone. Maybe I wanted to try to find something out from her. I carefully examined Lena. But no, I doubt that. Well, I don't know. I'm not allowed to? Feel free. But if I'm bothering you? No, you're not. I can leave. Just say. Everything's alright. Okay then. I sat on the end of the bench carefully. After such an intense talk, staying here was the last thing I wanted, but it wouldn't be nice to just stand up and leave. That didn't really go well, huh? Lena hasn't answered anything. It seems I made a fool out of myself. I bet if Olyana was here, she'd have a good time laughing at me. Do you enjoy being here? I recalled Slavia's question and thought it would be a good start for a conversation. Yes. She smiled slightly. I guess I like it too. Lena definitely isn't a very sociable person, and probably can't carry on a meaningless conversation as easily as Slavia. But there was something about her that attracted attention. Like a momentary glimpse of a reflection in the glass on a rainy autumn evening, which makes you turn around and stare into darkness, searching for something that you saw out of the corner of your eye. Of course, you weren't able to distinguish or understand what it was, but it still felt so tempting. Lena was still reading the book without paying any attention to my presence, and I had no intention of asking her anything about this camp or this world in general. Beautiful night. Yes. How in the world would you start a conversation with her? It's late. I have to go. Yeah, it's quite late. Good night. Night. There was something strange about this girl. At first glance, she seems like a typically shy and modest pioneer girl, but the mystery of Lena took its own place in the massive list of mysteries about this camp, which I had started to put together in my head. I wanted to get away. How could I ever lose in the first round? There was no excuse for me. The sports ground seemed to be the best place to go to be alone at the moment. Who would want to think about playing soccer in the evening? I sat down on a bench near the pitch and started to think about what happened. Suddenly, from the volleyball field side, I started hearing sounds that seemed to me like sounds of rasping or whistling. Turning, I saw someone desperately swinging his hand. Who's he gesturing to? To my astonish, it was Lena. She was throwing the shuttlecock up in the air and attempted to strike it with a racket. However, to be really honest, she sucked at badminton. I was just watching for a while, but then decided to go up to her. Badminton is my favorite fucking sport, to be completely honest. I went around this volleyball court and got inside so that she could see me. Lena was as timid as a deer, so I'd rather not repeat previous mistakes. Hi. She glanced at me and immediately hid the racket and the shuttlecock behind her back. You like badminton? Not really. I see you're not really getting it. Maybe you want some help? To tell the truth, I was not very good at badminton, but just like any other child, I used to play it from time to time. Let me show you. Thank you. She blushed. I want to join the badminton team, but I don't see it happening, really. I would even try today, but... She looked up at me. I never have any luck at cards, but it seemed like I was on fire today, so I thought it would be the same with badminton. After these words, I realized that losing to Lena is doubly upsetting. I would never think of you as being so keen on sports. She blushed again. Oh, excuse me. Come on, let me show you. I took the racket, threw the shuttlecock up in the air, and struck it with such strength that it flew over the fence and got lost among the trees. Oh, sorry. Wow, did not expect that from myself. Never mind. Although it was the last one. The last one? Let's go and get it. We'd better not. There's... in the forest. What's in there? A goblin? I laughed out loud. Maybe. It seemed like I was the only one joking around. There's no one to be afraid of. Come on. Well, if you're with me... We went out of the sports ground and I started to inspect the trees. All of a sudden, the screech of an owl pierced the night. Lena got so scared that she seized me with both hands, giving me something like a hug. This strong grip was a bit awkward. To feel a girl's body and its warmth so close to me, I was filled with tenderness. I had a deep desire to protect her and to guard her from anyone, even if it's only a night owl or a night bird. My only wish was to let this embrace last forever. However, all the good things must come to an end sooner or later. After a while, I realized that it was an owlet who was screeching on a branch next to us. It was holding our shuttlecock tightly. Is that what you were so scared of? Uh-huh. Take a look. It isn't scary at all. Lena looked out from behind my back. You're right. Not scary at all. Hey, wait a second. I gently got out of her hug and came closer to the owl. At first, it seemed that it'd get frightened and fly away, dropping the shuttlecock. But the owlet was still perching there. I succeeded in grasping the shuttlecock and carefully taking it from the bird. Hey look, it's almost tame. Would you like to pet it? Maybe some other time? I handed the shuttlecock back to Lena. Thank you. She smiled gently. I have to go. Good luck at badminton. Lena smiled again and hurried away to the camp. Wow, how sweet can a girl get? For the first time today, I finally felt how tired I was. And I think that's where it should cut. Vorsicht dir. And then, sorry, but I promised Lena. Lena. Hold on, wait a second! Sorry, maybe later. I gently loosened my sleeve from her grip and headed to the farthest corner of the canteen. Xenia was shouting something in my direction, but I tried to ignore her. Hi, good morning. Having heard the librarian shouting, Lena had been stealing glances at me for a while. Morning. Strangely enough, she didn't blush, but smiled instead. Would you mind if I join you? I'll get my meal and be back in no time. Yes, sure. In a minute, I was already sitting in front of her with a simple set of plates on a tray. Porridge, 2 poached eggs, 4 pieces of wheat bread, a boiled sausage, and a glass of compote, made of unknown fruits and berries. Have a nice meal. Thanks. I was trying to eat as neatly as I could. No chomping, smearing the food, or spilling the compote all over myself. It seems that eating like a human and not a hog was not that hard after all. As usual, Lena remained silent, which means I should start the conversation. Going to the dance tonight? Probably. She was silent for a while. And you? I don't know yet. Though I didn't want to go there at all. I didn't like dance parties since my school days. Why so? What do you mean? My mind was still far away in my school times. Oh, my mind was still far away in my school times. Why don't you want to go? I didn't say I didn't want to. Oh, okay then. But if you're inviting me... Lena turned red and looked away. I don't really... Sorry, just kidding. I felt confused. Better not joke like that. Fine. Lena said indifferently and focused on her food, while her face turned even more red. Why am I stuck on this dance as if we have nothing else to talk about? But wait, is there actually anything? And by the way, maybe you know what Xenia wanted to ask me? Huh? I mean, when I just came in, she wanted something from me. I don't know. I see. The conversation reached a dead end, so I tried to seem fully focused on my meal. Lena finished her breakfast first. I should go. See you later. See ya. I don't think there's... Yeah, so that should be all good to go. Lena emerged from behind the nurse's back. There's lots of boxes. Okay, I'll come. Nice. That's how a true pioneer should answer. Even after those words, I barely came a step closer to the be prepared, always prepared motto. Then, you can go. I looked at Lena, who was still staring at the ground. I guess all that time she spent staring at the ground was enough to learn everything there is to know about the life and habits of different insects. Plus, Lena likes to read, so she probably read many biological, botanical, and so on books. Perhaps she wants to become an entomologist. Where will you head next? Lena's words drew me away from the obscure thoughts. We'd been standing at the square for some time, and my speculations about Bugs' lives were only an attempt to escape this awkward situation. Though, why did I see it as awkward? Just don't forget, alright? Don't forget what? Well, tonight, after dinner, at the infirmary. Her face got a slightly grumpy look to it. No way, that's impossible. Alright. Right after dinner, and I'm at your service. I thought too late. At my words, Lena blushed even harder. I need to find a way to ease the situation. Why did the nurse ask you to do it? I don't know. I was just sitting on the bench and reading a book when she came by and... It's smart to ask a reliable person who would never say no. Okay. Well then, after dinner. Okay. I'll be off then. Yeah, sure. She walked off somewhere beside the clubs, and I just stood there at the square for some time. Okay. I don't think this option matters, but I just want to make completely sure. So, yeah, because last time, in my original playthrough, I went to go see Alyssa. I didn't go and really... I didn't go to all my other promises I made that day, you know? Okay, well, we haven't gotten this before. Okay, we're going to have to go back. A lot of pioneers were around, but no familiar faces. So I just sat on a bench and waited. I don't have to dance after all. Maybe I'll be able to just sit and chat with someone. Hey there, sad face! Olyana. Here to suggest something? Come on, let's dance! It's way too early. There isn't even any music yet. Bah, you're so boring. Yeah, I'm not the merriest person for such an event. She ran away. So Olyana did wear something like an evening dress. Pretty funny. Hi. Slavia. Hey. She sat down by my side. How's the evening? Fine. Why are you so sad? I'm not. Okay. Well, dancing will surely cheer you up. Maybe. Don't forget to save one dance for me. She laughed and ran towards the music equipment. The situation was getting serious. I wouldn't be able to sit through the whole dance party. Hi. Lena came closer. Oh, hi. You're here too. Is that such a wonder? Yes. Okay. Gonna light this party up? The joke fell flat. Lena blushed and looked down. Well, maybe that's not the best idea, setting things on fire. Okay, then I guess I'll... Yeah. She left. It looks like the whole camp was at the square. The pioneers formed large groups, talked, joked around, and laughed. At the DJ's panel, Olyana argued loudly with Olga Dmitrievna about the playlist for the evening. And here it is. The music started to play. I didn't know the band or the song, but if you ask me, I really felt like I'd tag it Soviet pop classics. The pioneers just stood there for some time as if not hearing the music. It's always hard to take the first step, especially if you're pretty sure that you'll be the one who would take it. Olyana seemed not to grasp that simple truth. She reached the center of the square with a few bounds and cried out loud, "What are you standing around for?" and started to wiggle ridiculously. Wiggle is the exact word. You couldn't find a better one. It looked so silly and funny that I couldn't resist laughing. She noticed it. Hey, Semyon! I pretended I couldn't hear her.
Stop pretending! Come over here!
I kept ignoring her. The pioneers slowly realized that they weren't too sexy for this party and started to dance. It looked really silly from my point of view, shaking one's arms and legs to the beat of long-forgotten hits. Come on, get real. Of course, I couldn't dance at all, but this thing couldn't be called a dance either.
Hey, Semyon, what are you sitting there for? Don't you want to dance?
I was so deep in thoughts that I hadn't even noticed Flavia. Not really.
Are you sure?
She smiled. Maybe later. Damn, what am I even doing here? One more invitation to the dance would completely ruin my pride. I started to think about an appropriate excuse to leave and was looking for the moment to do so. But then I saw Lena. She was slowly heading my way.
Maybe we should go?
Where to? I was so immersed in my thoughts that I didn't really get what she meant.
To the infirmary. But if you want to stay here and dance...
I doubt she was going to dance. Lena had stood aside the whole evening. No, I'll pass. Let's go. At least I wouldn't have to stand there like a shy nerd. Seriously, trying to conceal myself in the corner was not very pleasant. A bull in a china shop would be more agile than me on the dance floor. I didn't have the slightest intention of dancing in the first place.
Well, shall we go to the infirmary?
Lena brought me out of my thoughts. We'd just been standing near the canteen for some time. Yeah, sure. Thanks.
What for?
She looked at me in surprise. Well, for getting me out of there. I shouldn't have told her that dancing is not my thing. It's, so boring there.
It seems to me like you don't like dancing.
There's not a trace of sarcasm on her truthful, even childlike face. Seems like she really doesn't understand. Yeah, don't like it at all. I'm not into it.
Me too. No one ever invites me to dance.
Lena blushed and stared at the ground as usual. Strange.
What's strange?
Well, that no one ever invites you.
You think so?
Again, she looked at me with an expression of surprise and a lack of understanding. I got confused and couldn't find what to say in return right away. Yeah, certainly. If I liked dancing, I would have invited you for sure.
Thanks.
We didn't say a word for the rest of the way. Lena obviously felt too confused by my awkward compliment, and I just didn't know what topic to choose for a conversation. It was completely dark by that time, and the gloomy building of the infirmary, covered in the night mist, looked strangely like a haunted house. I felt a strong desire to turn around and walk away without making any noise. I threw a quick glance at Lena and noticed that she looked like usual. Shy, modest, and certain, but not in any way scared. It just made me even more uncomfortable. It can't be that she's not scared, while I... Suddenly an owl hooted nearby and I shivered. Lena seemed either not to hear it, not to pay attention to it, or just to not be scared by it at all. I hardly could believe the third option, but I didn't want to ask her about it, giving away my own fear. I entered the infirmary and found a switch in the dark. Ah, my eyes. Will the nurse come later?
She won't come.
Okay, she won't come. Understood. Wait a second. What do you mean she won't come? Ah, I see. It is not that I'm afraid of being alone with Lena, indoors, at night, with no one around. Only in movies does these things happen under such circumstances. It's just that when I'm with... It's just that I'm with Lena and not Oliana or Slavia. And it seriously changed my attitude towards things happening.
There are the boxes.
She pointed at the messy stack of boxes. There were about a dozen of them. It would take much more than 10 minutes of work. I put one of the boxes on the table before me and started to take out its contents. There were bandages, lots of little packs of bandages.
Here, take this.
Lena gave me a piece of paper. There were some fields, and I quickly realized that I should put the name in the left, the description in the middle, if there is one, and quantity in the right field. It's not a database, but it'll do. The work started in full swing.
Semyon.
What? I looked at Lena. She stared at me for a couple of moments, seemingly making up her mind to do or say something, but then lowered her gaze again.
No, never mind.
It was physically hard for me to just sit without saying a word. However, I didn't dare to speak first, not only because I couldn't think of a good topic for conversation, but that I was just feeling shy. This girl could easily be embarrassed by anything.
Semyon.
Yeah?
You're counting them all over again.
Indeed, I had started to take out and put into the database the bandages I had already counted. Oh, sorry. She didn't answer. Hey, where are you from? I mean, where did you come from? Meaning, where were you born? I mean, where do you live?
Well, there's a town not far from here.
Not far from here. Where's that?
Somewhere?
Looks like she doesn't want to talk about it. Is Lena hiding something too? It is explicable in the case of Olga Dmitrievna, but in Lena's case... Oh, and I just want to say as well, so we learned from like this strange dude or whatever that we met towards the end of the game, that this is like a whole loop essentially. So like once this camp ends, I'll just wake up on the bus again and go through it again. But we did learn that the actual inhabitants of the camp are completely harmless. So it's absolutely not like her. Is it a secret?
No. Just...
So is it somewhere in the south too? I should have thought of something more original. Every single one of my sudden ideas turned out the wrong way, and this attempt to play spy worked out even worse. And I thought about south just because the only pioneer camp of the Soviet Union I remember was Artek.
Yes.
Lena hesitated to reply. I couldn't quite tell if she was lying or not.
Don't you like it here?
I wonder what part of what I said made her think so. Absolutely not. I like it here. My false friendliness sounded very insincere, grating on the ears. What about you?
I like it. It's so calm here. There are lots of books in the library. And the people are nice.
Nice, but not all of them.
Why?
I don't know why I changed her voice like that. Did I really say that last bit out loud? Turns out I did. Well, you know, Yana, for example. She's like an Energizer battery with a completely unbalanced point of power application.
Battery? What?
Maybe I really was sent back in time. Never mind. Or Alyssa, the saying, a pioneer is a kid's role model. Certainly doesn't describe her. If everyone started following her example, it would be a complete disaster for the country in 20 years or so. However, thinking about it now, you can draw the conclusion that everybody did follow the example of Alyssa Dvachevskaya in the 80s, where I probably am right now.
She's not like that, actually.
Not like that. Not like what?
Not like what you said about her.
To begin with, I hadn't said anything. I just stated the fact that she's not the best example to follow.
Well, maybe.
Sounds like you know her well enough.
Probably.
I asked that question only to keep the conversation going and didn't expect an answer like that. Alyssa and Lena were so different. The idea that they could be close was unbelievable for me.
We came from the same town.
As if she'd foreseen my question.
We have common friends, even though Alyssa is 1 year older.
Okay, it's a little bit strange. Oh, not like that. I'm just surprised.
Everyone gets surprised.
Lena smiled a bit. I took the second box. Analgonum, activated charcoal, analgonum, activated charcoal, saline solution, potassium permanganate, furaticillin, analgonum. Lena always spoke in simple sentences. How can I communicate with her if every conversation turns into a monologue or just awkward silence? I wasn't quite satisfied with such a state of things. Sometimes it looked like she's hiding something behind her mask of shyness. But what? You know, I read a book not that long ago. Do you like science fiction?
Not much.
Damn, another failure. Well, if you don't like it, then what books do you like?
Different kinds.
The conversation was going smoothly, and I had to turn it off for the better. Oh, the conversation wasn't going smoothly. Who knows why, but I thought about the dance again. Feelings of uneasiness, discomfort, and even shame overwhelmed me once more. Looks like I'm not that different from Lena when it comes to such things. I'm shy and afraid of things I don't understand or can't do. I should probably overcome my own fears before anything else, and this will help me to understand her better. I've made up my mind. There are only a couple boxes left.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got an idea. How about we go to the canteen afterwards? I think the tape recorder was taken back there. What is it doing in the canteen? I hesitated.
What for?
Her sincere look made it clear that she hadn't the slightest idea what I'm going to offer. Well, frankly speaking, I just don't know how to dance. That's why I don't like it. That's the reason I was so confused back there. Maybe I could thank you by dancing with you.
But I...
She stopped short. She stopped sorting out the medicine for a moment, blushed, and looked right into my eyes. I got a bit stubborn. It really was a stupid idea. It's okay if you don't want to. I don't insist.
What if someone sees us?
I certainly didn't think about something like that. It's not a big deal, but everybody's asleep already. And no one's going to go to the canteen at night.
How will we get in there?
I should have thought about it beforehand. Well, that moment I regretted that I still didn't have my cell phone from the leader's cabin. Anyway, I had to do something to get rid of this awkward topic. What kind of music do you like?
Different kinds. I'm not really into it.
Then let's imagine that it's playing now. I mean that we hear it playing.
How's that?
Like it plays in your head. I still remembered the melody the pioneers were dancing to. The music and words were really clear in my memory.
I'm not sure I can do it.
You can, just try.
Probably.
I gotta consent. In Lena's case, even that probably can be considered a yes. Pa-ger-z. We silently sorted medical supplies for the rest of the time, writing down their names and quantities. I should probably pay more attention to every word I ask after such luck. I stayed silent most of the time, though. Soon we finished the last box. I gave Lena the filled-in list and started to stare at her, like I saw Bigfoot riding a unicycle with juggling piglets. It was amazing, frightening, and above all, mesmerizing. She suddenly broke out laughing. What?
That look of yours.
What about it?
It's just funny.
Really?
Yes. So, where are we going to? Where are we going to go?
Where? Her last words unsettled me. I completely forgot what we were talking about. Frankly speaking, I had completely left this world for a moment.
Well, to dance.
Let's see. Choose the dancing on the map. Lena blushed right away and her face took on a strange expression of shyness, uneasiness, and fear. Yeah, sorry. I was just lost in thought. Let's go to the pier. I don't know why I chose that place. Maybe because you could run into a pioneer at the square, in the residential area, or near the canteen, but not in the pier. That's what I thought, at least. Or maybe because of the large, bright moon reflecting on the water in the night. And it is a full moon today. I don't know how, but the solution just offered itself. If you don't like it, then we can...
No, it's a really nice place.
Lena locked the door and we made our way to the pier. Night fell on the sleeping camp.
Should we follow the road?
Why? It'll be faster through the forest. There's a nice path there.
Well, there could be...
Who? An owlet? I laughed.
Oh, you...
A shadow of displeasure crossed her face. Never mind it. Sorry. If you want to.
Okay. But can I?
Without finishing, she grabbed onto my arm. Thanks, she's actually kind of tall. Goddamn.
Is it okay with you?
Now it was my turn to blush. Of course. We walked through the forest. It was hardly a forest, though. More like a small grove between the camp and the pier, about 100 meters long. I would never think that there would be anything to be afraid of, even on my own. But it just seemed like Lena's fear was contagious. The branches swayed over us. I shuddered and Lena clung to my arm even more strongly. Don't be afraid. It must be a squirrel.
Yeah.
We reached the pier. The night was really beautiful. I walked closer to the river and called Lena. Look! The pier, the boathouse, and the moon were reflecting in the water. It looked like another world with the surface of the water being the door to Wonderland. You could just jump and find yourself on the other side. May I have this dance? I extended my hand to her and bowed clumsily. Lena hesitated. I must have overdid it with my mannerism. And there's nothing to fear. I'm not good at it either. Why either? She never said she couldn't dance, though it was kind of obvious.
Okay.
Lena gave me her hand. I led her a bit aside and gently put my arms around her waist. We stood there like that for a few moments.
And what next?
Well, I don't know. Do you remember that song?
Barely, but I remember.
Great. Let's waltz like in the movies.
How's that?
Instead of answering her, I carefully started to move in a circle with Lena. See? Not that hard at all.
Yeah.
We waltzed for several minutes, or whatever you would call it. I felt her warmth, though we were not that close to each other. Her chest heaved heavily and her face started to blush more and more. Lena didn't look at me, averting her eyes from one side to another. I suddenly realized that I had never felt anything like this before. It was tenderness overtaking reality, as I found myself in another, better world. I realized that I didn't want to let this girl go, and that I would give up anything just to go on waltzing with her forever. I clasped Lena tighter, and only then did she look straight at me. There was surprise and confusion in her gaze, but no fear whatsoever. She wasn't afraid of me, and didn't push me away.
Then you said you couldn't dance.
I really can't. I was confused. I didn't expect that reaction from her. Where's her confusion, shyness, and fear disappeared to? You, too, dance pretty well.
I know.
A playful smile crossed her face. Or maybe it just seemed so to me? No. I swear I saw it. How's that possible? The image of shy and modest Lena didn't fit together with this moment at all. What should I say? What should I do next? I could only keep on waltzing with her in this dance, which was getting stranger with every passing minute.
Semyon, where are you?
The voice came from the edge of the forest. Damn, worst timing ever.
Semyon!
It was Olga Dmitrievna. She must have been worrying because I hadn't been back. Because I should have been back a long time ago. Oh, I should have guessed that tireless camp leader would start searching for a lost pioneer. I should have warned her beforehand. There's no point in thinking about it now. Lena looked at me questioningly.
Being seen together would not be the best thing.
Why? Let's go and tell her that everything's alright.
No, let's hide and return to the camp later.
Her idea was strange. Everything was going so well. At least something was starting to work out. Or seemed like it did. But what was that something? Okay then. I decided not to argue. It wasn't appropriate in such a situation. Olga Dmitrievna shouted for a while and left.
Let's go.
Yeah. Lena didn't grab onto my arm on the way back. I was a little frustrated, but wasn't certain enough to take the first step. We kept silent again. It was not typical of Lena to start a conversation, and I just didn't know what to say after everything that happened at the pier. She kept looking at the ground all the way back, keeping her usual expression. What a bizarre change. Or to be more precise, what was bizarre was that smile on the pier and Lena's words. She stopped at the square.
Well, I have to go.
Okay.
Thank you for today.
Yeah. Lena turned around and headed to her cabin, and I kept standing where I was. What the hell was that? That dance, that sudden change in mood, and then everything was back to normal. It was like I was embracing another Lena in the short moment. That's right. She wasn't herself. She seemed a completely different person. Maybe I don't know her well enough. I had a feeling before that Lena hides something under her mask of shyness. It takes much longer than 2 days to understand someone. Damn, what should I do? Maybe I was just seeing things. I walked to the leader's cabin. The whole camp was sleeping, so there was no one to see me. So what? What's wrong with a pioneer taking a walk at night? When I was almost at the door, I heard a noise behind me. The branches of the bush near the trees rustled as if someone moved there. There shouldn't be any wild animals around here. Someone must have been watching me. That very moment, I rushed in the direction of the noise, forced myself through the bushes, and looked around. It was too dark, and I didn't see anything or anyone. There was no point in going on. Even if someone was watching me, he must have been gone already. That's probably going to be one of those, I wouldn't say ghost pioneers, but, other people like me who found themselves in the camps. I went back to the cabin. The light inside was on. Looks like she's still awake.
Semyon, where have you been?
What do you mean, where? Me and Lena have been sorting medical supplies in the infirmary. I told you before that I would do that in the evening.
Really? When was that? It took you long enough. I was in the infirmary about a half hour ago. It was closed and lights were off.
Well, we decided to have a little walk.
I'm fretting about... I'm fretting...
No, that's not it.
I'm fretting about while you're having a walk.
Well, sorry. I completely forgot how I did Dmitrievna's voice. Sorry. I'll let you know beforehand next time.
Please do. Go to bed. It's late.
Sheesh, this is not the voice. What voice did I give her? I can't help agreeing with her.
Hi.
Lena appeared next to me as if out of nowhere. Hi. Can't sleep? She looked at me in surprise. Well, yeah, it is still early.
May I sit?
Yeah, of course. Sit down. I moved over a little. Saying a little was in fact an understatement. I actually shifted myself to the end of the bench.
Thanks.
Lena sat and looked at the sky as if she'd forgotten about me.
It's sad.
What's sad?
That Shirk disappeared.
Yeah, things aren't too good. She was as calm as usual, keeping silent most of the time. She blushed and felt embarrassed only when she had to speak or do something. That same silence, which could be seen as awkward by many people, including myself, was quite natural for her. I could hardly imagine Lena making an effort to carefully choose the right words to start a conversation or make a good remark, trying not to look stupid, or, alternatively, trying not to look as rude as Alyssa. I wasn't able to compare her to anyone. She was just content with being herself. Does that mean my attempts to start a conversation with her could be seen as rude? That the expression become friends could be interpreted as an intrusion into her private life? But something in this girl attracted me. Maybe it was her mysteriousness, and she certainly wasn't lacking in appearance or feminine charms. I didn't have an answer for that. That's why I still hadn't been openly accused of being annoying. I'm sure he'll be found. How can you escape from a submarine? Lena didn't seem to appreciate the joke. This camp must seem like a large submarine to me only.
I hope so.
Tomorrow, Olga Dmitrievna will call the police. They'll find him for sure.
And what if during the night?
Her expression grew sad. What if something happens to him? Alone at night in the forest? Hell, anything could happen.
He must be lonely.
No one forced him to go out there.
What if he just got lost?
He shouldn't go walking in the forest alone.
You don't have any pity for him at all. Shirk must be sitting out there alone.
Of course I pity him. I felt ashamed. In any case, Lena was right. The person was missing.
Anything could happen during the night.
We aren't seriously going to go search for him now, are we? She didn't reply, still looking somewhere far away, where the last rays of sun shined over the tops of the old trees, as if trying to leave a bit of its warmth with the people. Do you really think that roaming around the forest in the dark is a good idea?
Probably not.
For some reason, I was sure that was exactly what she thought. Recently, I seemed to be starting to understand Lena even without words more often, and she seemed to be influencing me psychologically, making me agree with her. Lena's silence was more informative than any chatter or attempts at persuasion. It looked firm during the day already.
Everywhere?
She stopped watching the sunset and looked at me. I don't know. I think everywhere.
What about the old camp?
For the first time, her words sounded self-assured, and not vague or indifferent. Where is it? I have no idea.
Electronic told us.
Well, if you trust him. I grinned stupidly, but Lena kept looking at me seriously. Sure, if it's not too far.
So, you do want to go?
Of course I don't. We can, if it's just there and back quickly.
Okay.
Lena smiled and gave me a flashlight, which appeared from nowhere. Yeah, that'll be useful. Does this mean she prepared beforehand? And nothing was up to me? I sighed as if doomed and headed to the forest with her. Night fell in the camp. We walked slowly. Lena was next to me, but not too close. It was strange, but it didn't look like she was afraid of anything. Moreover, she didn't seem to be bothered much by what we were doing, as if we weren't walking in the forest at night, but just watching a movie with other people playing lead roles. Actually, electronics said that the old camp was not too far, and if we walked straight to it, then it would be hard to get lost. After a few minutes, I was completely unsure that we were walking straight, and after a few more, it started to seem like it would be a miracle for us to even get out of here. But I didn't want to lose face before Lena, so I tried to walk cheerfully. The forest was full of silent, flickering shadows and gleaming moonbeams. The grass quietly rustled under our feet, and the branches rustled over our heads. Old oaks stood next to young birches. Large mushrooms emerged from under the latter, as if taking off their large hats in salute. On any other day, or rather, at any other time of the day, it would have looked really beautiful. It may be safe at night too, but nevertheless I shuddered at each gust of wind.
Look!
Lena pointed forward. I rubbed my eyes and saw a gap between the trees. In a minute we were in a rather large clearing. In the middle of it stood a building, which looked like a village school or a kindergarten. The paint was falling off the walls, there were several holes in the roof, like the aftermath of a bombing, and the glassless windows looked at us sadly and a little threateningly. It was not a very pleasant sight. I couldn't remember how I'd imagined this place a moment ago. It was like all the images had been erased from my memory, replaced by this depressing graveyard view. Well, it's creepy. Lena was still standing silently, but a natural expression of fright appeared on her face.
Do you think he's in there?
I have no idea. If I was Shirk, then a haunted house would be the last place I'd hide in.
Shall we go?
I didn't manage to answer. The moon appeared from behind the clouds and illuminated the clearing with new colors. Actually, in one color. The white of the grave. I could see more clearly the distant trees, the mist shrouding them. It felt like the temperature dropped several degrees, making me shiver.
Are you afraid?
Lena asked calmly. Honestly? She smiled almost imperceptibly and took my hand. It would have caused a storm of emotion in any other situation, but at the time it felt like a basic necessity. We walked slowly to the building. Walking through the playground, I pushed a merry-go-round, causing it to creak nastily as it made a half turn. Lena shivered and grasped my hand tighter. Sorry, I probably just remembered my childhood.
Did you like merry-go-rounds?
Yeah, actually. I don't know. Well,
Did you like merry-go-rounds?
yes. Actually, I don't know. I don't remember. Probably. All children like them.
I didn't like them.
Why?
I got dizzy when I rode them.
No wonder. If you spin too fast.
I liked swings more.
Well, you can get dizzy on a swing as well.
But why would you?
I don't know. The conversation had distracted me a little, and I stopped worrying myself about everything. About Shirk, about our night trip, about Lena. After all, this world is not so alien. Finally, we reached the doors. The inside of the old camp building reminded me of a kindergarten, the one I attended in my childhood. At first glance, even the room arrangement was the same. Shirk!
Shirk!
Grave-like silence replied to us. Even the wind outside had calmed down. Looks like nobody's in here.
We should check anyway.
Lena's courage still didn't cease to surprise me. Or should I say, her lack of normal self-preservation instincts didn't. I don't know if this behavior is strange for this girl or not. Okay, let's do it. We thoroughly examined all the rooms of the camp. I even inspected the attic. There were signs that people had visited this place everywhere. Newspapers, empty bottles, and other garbage. But there was no sign of Shirk. We returned to the hall where we had started our search. What should we do next?
I have no idea.
Lena sat on the steps and stared at her feet. I think we should go back. I began carefully. It's late, and can just the two of us really search the entire forest for him?
You may be right.
She looked sad, and her expression let me know that the search was not yet over. Well, I am. I waved my hands in resignation and sat next to her. We should think about the worst outcome.
Are you saying?
No, but are there any wild animals around?
I doubt it.
Lena calmed down at once. He may be sleeping somewhere. He'll wake up in the morning and return to the camp.
Yes, of course.
I jumped to my feet and started to walk in circles around the hall. I really wanted to leave this place, to get out from the forest, but it was as if Lena's behavior was keeping me here. I wanted to go on to try to persuade her, but then I noticed something on the floor. It was a trap door. There were little heaps of garbage and dust around it. It must have been opened recently. Look!
Do you think Shirk's there?
Lena squatted and carefully pulled on the hatch's handle. It may not be Shirk, but someone surely used it recently. I had already regretted finding that damn gate to hell.
Let's check it out?
The trapdoor wasn't very heavy, so you could open it without much effort. I directed the flashlight into it and saw a ladder going down a couple of meters. It looks like a cellar.
Let's go down?
I looked at Lena for a few moments, trying to understand what was on her mind. Did she have a craving for adventure like Ilyana? So where's her youthful spirit then? Or maybe she just went a bit nuts. Lena didn't seem like a crazy person. But anyway, who even said she really is a human and you can evaluate her with human behavioral logic? That thought should have scared me, but somehow I didn't pay any attention to it among the millions of other thoughts. Some of them were more important. For example, what could be down there? I climbed down and looked around. Everything's okay. After I made sure that there was nothing to be afraid of, I called Lena. We stood in the long corridor, which certainly wasn't a cellar. Its architecture more resembled KGB dungeons, or a subway maintenance tunnel. I don't know which would be better. There were countless wires along the walls, fastened by metal hooks every half a meter. There were lamps under the ceiling, covered by rusted shades. Crumbled concrete crunched under our feet unpleasantly.
Shall we go?
Lena, without any emotion.
Shall we go?
Lena, without any emotion. Where to? There?
Well, yes. What if Shirk's there?
What would he be doing there? In any case, I wasn't really able to refuse her today, so we forgot about our fear and headed into the darkness. Into the jungle. Lena walked next to me, holding my hand. The silence of the dungeon was interrupted only by the sound of our steps and water dripping from the ceiling. We moved forward slowly, maybe too slowly. I suddenly felt a surge of claustrophobia. I gritted my teeth and squeezed the torch, but loosened my grip at once, fearful of breaking our only light source. Lena kept silent, and her silence seemed louder than my words. I started to fear. Say something.
Door.
What?
This door.
She pointed forward. We came to a massive metal door with a biohazard sign. It looks like a bomb shelter.
Yes, I'd heard something about it.
Why is it here?
I've no idea. Maybe because of the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Cuban? I estimated the approximate time of construction in the camp. I estimated the approximate time of constructing the camp. Makes sense. However, building a bomb shelter here was like building an airport at Faggot in Northumberland, or Lacock in Wiltshire in the UK. Wasn't deep enough and too far from civilization. The door wheel dully creaked. I had to push it with all my strength before it turned a couple of times. I made up my mind and opened the door with difficulty. We entered the room, which seemed to be the main living quarters. There were some beds, cases, some scientific equipment. They had been thoroughly prepared for a nuclear apocalypse. We didn't find any signs of Shirk there, though.
Look.
Lane was holding a flare gun and smiling. Why would I need it?
To fight monsters.
There's no monsters down here. At least I wanted to believe that.
If you say so.
I guarantee it. I don't want to upset her, so I tucked the flare gun into my belt. It might come in handy. We thoroughly searched the room once again. There were 2 exits. The first door was the door we had entered in, and the other one was another door exactly the same in the left wall. For a moment I felt excitement, the urge to reach the end of this labyrinth and to learn what prize awaited me there. However, this surely wasn't a computer game, and there's no option to save. Well, I'm not so sure about that one.
Maybe with this?
Lena offered me a rather big crowbar. Nah, I'll give it a try without it first. However, the door didn't want to budge. It only creaked nastily, and the door wheel didn't turn a millimeter. Okay, give it to me. It was too easy with the crowbar. In the end, the obstacle collapsed, hitting the floor loudly. The hinges were rusted completely through. I pointed the flashlight in the passageway. There was a corridor just like the one we had come here through.
Let's go.
Ugh, what was that?
Let's go.
It was like Lena was constantly driving me on. Where are you rushing to?
Me? I'm not...
She blushed in confusion. Again, what should I make of her? First she doesn't fear a thing, then she gets lost after a word. You look like you don't fear anything.
I don't know. What should I fear? You will protect me anyway.
She added, barely audibly. So Lena's counting on me. She believes in me no matter what. It's possible. Stupid, naive, but possible. I knew clearly that I couldn't protect anyone, even myself. Nothing is up to me in this world. The powers that brought me here could do anything. That didn't exactly mean that inevitable death awaited for me in the end of the tunnel. It could be lying in wait anywhere in this camp. Let's go. I tried to walk faster, but Lena seemed to not be bothered by that, and she easily kept pace with me. This corridor was exactly the same as the previous one, in every last detail. There's nothing shocking about it, but at some point I got the feeling that we were walking in circles. The flashlight in my hand started to tremble visibly. The spot of light jumped all over the walls and the floor. Suddenly it lit up a rather big hole. The hole wasn't too deep, and down below we could see rails.
What's down there?
Looks like a mine.
Shall we have a look?
Why not go further along the corridor?
I don't know. I think we should go down there.
I estimated the height. It would be possible to pull ourselves out. Alright, let's check it out. I jumped down the hole and helped Lena to get down. It really was a mine. I wonder what they could have mined here. What minerals are in this area?
I don't know.
Well, yeah, stupid question. Looks like there are none now. We headed into the darkness. It was hard to walk, but I couldn't choose where I trod. Wobbly wooden planks or uneven ground. I wasn't able to stick close to the walls either. The narrowness of the tunnel forced us to stay between the rails, and I didn't want to let go of Lena's hand. Finally, we reached a fork. Just great. Hold up. Ugh.
Where should we go?
Where? I'm not certain that we'll be able to get out of here at all, especially if we're going to play Pac-Man.
Play what?
Never mind. We'll get lost.
What if there's an exit too?
There may be one. And what if there isn't?
So, should we go head back?
I bit my lip till it bled and yelled as loud as I could. Shurik! The loud echo rebounded from every direction at once. Soil even fell from the ceiling in some places. See?
Then I'll go alone.
What? I grinned stupidly. Alone? Where to?
Well, we must find Shurik. He may be...
Lena blushed at once and stared at the ground. No. That won't do. If we go together.
Okay, then let's go.
She smiled and took my hand. How does she manage that? But first we should... I took a sharp stone from the ground and scratched across on one of the beams which supported the walls. Now we'll know where we started. Go left, go right. I don't think it actually matters, but I'm going to stick left because that's the smart thing to do. It seems like there's another fork in the road. We came to some kind of miner's camp. Picks and helmets everywhere. A rusty wagon stood in the corner. All the items were so old. They dated from the beginning of the 20th century, rather than the middle. So this really is a mine. Which means I could wander around here for ages without finding a way out. But I sensed that there was somewhere nearby, and so we went further. But there was an exit somewhere nearby. It seems that there's another fork in the road. Go left again. Go left again. Go left again. Go left again. Oh! This is different, I believe. Around the next turn, I find a wooden door appeared in the light. At least it's something.
What?
At least it's not another fork.
What's in there?
We don't have any choice but to check it out. I strongly pulled the handle and opened the door. There was a room behind it, which might be one of the maintenance rooms for the bomb shelter. Empty bottles and cigarette butts were scattered everywhere. The walls were all covered with scribbles. So that means there's another exit from here. I didn't want to believe that the people who had left all that had come the same way as we did. Sadly, Shirk wasn't there. Oh. I slid down the wall to the floor. We must have been everywhere by now.
Not everywhere.
Lena pointed to a door in the corner. It looked similar to the one leading into the bomb shelter. There probably should be an exit, as you said.
Shall we go?
Let's rest for a moment.
Okay.
Lena sat next to me, very close, and took my hand.
It's all right.
What do you mean?
That we haven't found Shirk.
We should think about getting out ourselves.
We'll get out.
Yeah, I probably remember the way. Or at least I thought that I remembered it.
I'm not afraid at all,
She suddenly said after a short pause. That's good.
because I'm with you.
Suddenly, there came a noise from behind the door to the mine. I jumped up at once and started looking for something I could use as a weapon. The noise of heavy footsteps was getting closer. Finally, the door opened, and Shirk appeared from behind it. In the silence, I froze, staring at him.
There you are. Did you think you could hide from me?
What?
Did you think that I wouldn't find you? But I did.
He wasn't sane, that was for sure. His face was distorted by a scary grimace. His eyes gleamed behind his glasses. The missing pioneer held a metal rod in his hand.
Are you mad? It's us. Yeah, I can see it's you.
He took a couple steps towards us. I instinctively shielded Lena.
Did you think you could make a fool out of me? Leading me here and there, to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, and I followed.
He raised the metal rod. Everything after that was like it happened in slow motion. Shirk charging at us. Me pushing Lena out of the way. The rod slowly arcing towards my head. My hand with the flashlight going up. Following all that, complete darkness. Rapid breathing, blood hammering in my temples, silence. Dreadful, heavy silence, merging with the darkness. I moved my hand, trying to find the wall, when I felt someone's touch.
Don't be afraid.
I heard a familiar voice near me.
Where are you damned lunatic?
I shouted.
He left.
Which way did he go? Where to? Lena's voice didn't sound too calm, but certainly it didn't sound like it. It certainly didn't sound like it should in such circumstances.
Calm down.
She hugged me tenderly and pressed her body against mine. I tried to gather my senses, to recover my breath, to adapt to the darkness. What should we do next?
You have a gun.
Well, who do I shoot?
It's loaded with a flare.
She might be right. I took the gun from my belt, pointed it to the side, and fired. The room was illuminated by a bright red light. The flare line in the corner looked like a firework or a sparkler.
Let's go quickly. It won't burn for too long.
Where to? Lena pointed to the second door. It wasn't hard to open it, and we headed into the darkness. The flare burned more dimly with every second. I stumbled with every step, even fell down a couple times, but didn't slow my pace. If it goes out... Finally, we saw some light in front of us and came to a ladder, leading to a grating into the ceiling. The flare hissed and went out. Thank God. It turned out that we were right under the statue of Genda. The grating was rather sturdy, but we managed to open it after breaking the bolts with a flashlight. After reaching the surface, I collapsed on the grass, exhausted. That was terrible. Lena sat next to me. Just dreadful. By that time, I didn't give a damn about the world, the camp, the 410 bus, or my previous life. The strangeness and nastiness thing that was there was nothing supernatural in these events. Shirk just went crazy. Insane. Nothing strange about it. I would have too in his position. Lena patted my head tenderly and smiled.
It's all over now.
I don't know. There's a crazy pioneer in the woods. You could even say the maniac killer.
I think he's gonna be alright.
Alright? I'm not so sure about that.
The most important thing is that we're okay.
She still smiled. How can you be so calm?
I told you before that I have nothing to be afraid of when I'm with you.
Indeed, I might have saved Lena and myself back there, but it was only by chance, nothing more. If Shirk had been swifter, or crazier. Thanks for the compliment.
You're welcome.
though we still should have stayed here in the first place.
You're probably right,
She said calmly. I got really sleepy. Because of the stress, of exhaustion, of how late it was. We should go to sleep. I'd have to stand up and walk to the leader's cabin. I wasn't ready for that. My eyes closed just for a moment. Stars looked down at me from the sky. Thousands of them, even millions. Now their lights didn't seem to be so distant and cold. On the contrary, they twinkled at me, as if whispering among themselves, telling merry fairy tales in eager competition. About a galaxy far, far away in violet, fluffy piglets. About mysterious asteroid belts where ships have disappeared. About a fearless starship captain and his brave crew. About exceptional treasures and unreachable peaks of a planet on the edge of the universe. I wonder, was that a dream? I lifted myself a little and realized that my head was in Lena's lap. Did I sleep for long? I asked in confusion, but didn't rush to get up.
I don't know. I don't have a watch.
She laughed. Approximately?
Well, maybe 20 minutes.
That's okay then. I lay down again, feeling nice and calm like never before. The events of the night were becoming distant, as if I was starting to forget them, like the story the stars were telling me.
Shirk has come back.
What? I jumped on my feet instantly.
There he is, sleeping on the bench.
Lena pointed to the benches in surprise. And what are you...
You were sleeping so peacefully that I didn't want to wake you up.
I felt a shiver of fear, because such behavior was not just strange. It was not just inappropriate. It scared me more than Shirk's insanity in the dungeon. A lunatic who half an hour ago tried to kill us, arrives, lies on a nearby bench and falls asleep. And she just sits there?
Nothing to worry about. He just seemed to be a little off.
Lena got confused and blushed.
He walked unsteadily and didn't look towards us, and if I'd made a noise...
She was about to cry. Okay, don't worry. There was some logic to her words. She probably did the right thing. In any case, we had to interrogate Shirk thoroughly. I jumped up, walked quickly to the bench he was sleeping on, and slapped him. Ouch! He woke up at once. What the hell? What are you doing, you bastard? What? Shirk stared at me with a scared and moreover sane look. What was that all about down there? What? Where? In the dungeon, in the mine, in the bomb shelter. Did you go completely nuts? I don't understand you. He looked around. Why am I here? And where should you be in your own opinion, huh? Oh, wait, I know. You should be in an asylum. I went to the old camp in the morning for spare parts and then...
Don't you remember anything after that?
Lena asked after walking up to us. Yes, Don't pretend, I said calmly, and sat next to him. It really looked like he wasn't lying, though. I don't understand anything. It's unscientific. Who cares? Don't think that I trust you. Memory loss can't just occur. Shirk talked to himself, mumbling something, not paying us any attention.
Let's go,
Lena said quietly. Should we just leave him here?
He's not in his right mind. He has to sleep.
It's dangerous to leave the psycho alone. He may strangle electronic with an induction coil in the night.
It's gonna be alright. Trust me.
I had no reason not to trust her. However, I didn't have any reason to trust her either. On the other hand, who cares now? I wanted to fall asleep as quickly as possible. Okay. We left Shirk, who was still mumbling something to himself.
We're here.
What? Where?
I have to go further on.
Lena smiled. I hadn't thought about anything all the way here. I just followed her. It hadn't noticed that we'd come to Olga Dmitrievna's cabin. Yeah.
Thank you. For the day.
There's nothing to thank me for. It's just good that we came back alive. We'll see what Shirk has to say tomorrow.
Thanks anyway,
she said mysteriously, and averted her eyes. You're welcome.
Well, it's time for me to go.
Lena quickly turned around and walked quickly in the direction of her cabin. I suddenly had a thought that maybe something about that was a bit off. Not quite right. After all that happened, just, well, time for me to go? It usually goes different in such situations, doesn't it? I have no idea what I expected, though. Exhaustion hit me again. Walking with difficulty, I entered the cabin. The leader was sitting on my bed.
Semyon,
She started to talk sadly.
where have you been?
Well, I... prepared for a scolding. I didn't expect that reaction. I went to look for Shirk.
Alone?
I'm gonna tell her I went alone. Yeah, alone.
So, what about Shirk?
It looks like Olga Dmitrievna was really worried about the fate of the lost pioneer. What's so strange about that? The leader can treat her work lightly, but it doesn't mean she's a heartless person. He's okay. As okay as he could be in such a situation.
That's good. Go to sleep now.
Wait, but... She turned the lights out quickly, showing that the conversation is over, and I couldn't ask anything. Though, should I? Ask why she didn't scold me? Still, Lena, what happened today? My thoughts slowed their pace before stopping completely. Alright, we're gonna stop it there for today. So I'm gonna go ahead and save the game. Alright. So, very interesting. We had a chunk of it that was completely new stuff, and then a chunk of it that was... Because we'd already gone to the abandoned schoolhouse before, but we were on our own that time. So now we went there with Lena. And yeah, so something's a little bit off with her. She's... seems to easily go back and forth between, you know, shy and timid and seemingly fearful, you know? Or not fearful, but fearless, I mean. So that's quite interesting. So I guess we're going to have to find out more next time. This was a bit of a long episode, but I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoy the continuation of this series. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed, that'd be awesome if you could leave a like on the video to let me know. And if you like this series or any other series of videos on my channel, then I would highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you can be notified when one of those new videos comes out. Well, that's going to be it for this time, and I'll see you in the next video.